All right. I think we're good to go. All systems are clear. Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Factions of Freedom. I'm your host, Noisera, Freedom Faction, whichever one you prefer, and this is show number 1540, season 15, episode 40. And I have titled this episode, Privileged Politics, Genetically Engineered Babies, and Operation Overwhelm. And that last part right there, Operation Overwhelm, it's because of what we've been seeing going on recently with the Zohran Mamdani win and how this has basically spiritually erupted America in a lot of different ways. And I think people are very quickly beginning to see how we have been infiltrated, how we have many different adversaries. We are not necessarily prepared for what comes next, right? Psychologically, economically. There's a massive shift taking place in many different ways. You've also got tech titans. We'll cover this up. This is clearly the meat and potatoes of the middle segment, the genetically engineered babies segment. You've got tech titans wanting to do just that. Rich elite individuals coming together to genetically engineer their children. We'll be talking about that as we previously just got done talking about the transgenerational catastrophe that's unfolding with recipients of the most recent genetic worldwide experiment. A lot of different things going on. We have to understand all of these different components create the battlefield that we're experiencing today. And it's like, what is your opening message? Like, what do you want to start this episode off with as we're barreling towards the end of 2025? Like, what is happening right now in a good summarized way? They're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, Trump, and things of this nature again in the news. That's not what's happening. Yes, there is elite pedophilia going on. There's human trafficking going on. There's sex trafficking going on. But what we have to understand is we're hitting one of those time periods where it's a tremendous change, the fourth turning, right? This is why we throw out these different phrases. The fourth industrial revolution, fifth generation warfare, the fourth turning, the great reset, the great awakening. Something I'm beginning to discuss as well is the great acceleration, and how at a certain level, we have to understand that a lot of this is going to start popping off. And you can kind of feel that in the tonality of the content we cover, the way we cover it, the things that are going on, the, again, accelerated nature, the hyper pace that things are unfolding. It is both good and bad. This is why I talk about it being the event horizon, because we're going to an inflection point in history where a lot of stuff is going to start popping off, as it already is, right? And so when we're talking about Operation Overwhelm and how people are seeing the slow creeping Muslim invasion of our government and how we truly are just asleep at the wheel, that's very dangerous in more ways than one, because this isn't something that's going to get dealt with in our time, but in our child's time and more. You see this now, right? Now that the left has thrown away the rainbow, they've picked up the black mask, the balaclava. They picked up the black flag too. Well, they'll pick up the sword too. They'll pick up Islam as well. We're seeing so much of a shift politically, culturally, spiritually, that we have to understand there is no getting out of this. This is the great transition. This is the great reset. This is the angrier world that Klaus Schwab talks about. And as I sit here, your embattled host, just if anything, trying not to get my block knocked off by increase in electricity prices, increase in rent, competition. Like it's a lot of there's a lot of different things going on in the world right now, man. And we're doing everything we can, being your embattled host, to bring you relative information that paints this picture of the world that these people are creating, and how there is like a very, very small resistance of individuals fighting back against it. Because to a degree, the individuals that really should be fighting back against all this tyranny are underneath the spell of MAGA. And so what you're going to begin to see too in Trump as well is this kind of leaning in to the acceleration, to the reset, the great awakening. You're going to see these different type of like personalities or energies or mindsets or just moods or emotion. I really do not know how to describe it other than that. But you're going to begin to see this shift take place. It's a cementing. I talked about it just last week. It's a cementing of the consciousness, of the worldwide consciousness. You felt it before when COVID was going on. You felt when the Fire Nation came. And I'm not saying the Fire Nation has come back, but I can definitely feel the flames. And with that, I can feel the shift in consciousness worldwide. I perceive timelines differently. I see all this stuff unfolding somewhat chaotically, unless again something takes us off of this trajectory, because we are in this inflection point. You see, and what's gonna like it's not gonna be just me theoretically or academically talking about this stuff. You're gonna see it in your own backyard, and you're gonna have to confront it, or it's gonna come confront you. And so you're gonna shift, you're gonna change, simply because of what's happening in the world right now, and how this is the great shakeup. And so I just, all I can tell you, longtime listeners of the show and newcome listeners of the show, all I can tell you is you're in for one hell of a show, not only today, but for the rest of your life. You have front row seats to the dissolving of the old world order, the purposeful destruction of it. The segment that we have coming up to intro the show is titled "The World Economic Forum Will Engineer, quote, disruptive shocks to cement their agenda." And they will. We've got Tedros Ghebreyesus of the World Health Organization basically begging for more money. And so this is, again, this emergence of a global governance, a dissolving of your rights, a promotion of a system, feudalism, a promotion of a system over its people. And you see America, and that's what I'm saying. I was saying this before the show, and I need to get through this rigmarole so I can do the intro and get through things. America is going to begin to enter its like mythical phase. You see, the golden years that Donald Trump talks so candidly about, those are like the 80s, the 90s. They're maybe like the early 2000s, but we peaked around those time periods. That's the golden years, and we're not going to go back to that. I don't know how else to say that. And so you're going to begin to enter this mythical age where you come from a time where there was peace and prosperity, there was wealth and abundance. And do you understand how this is going to upset so many people that have not had anything and were told, come to this country, you'll get everything, and we're kicking them out? Do you understand the vitriolic hatred that is being inculcated and baked within society right now? You got a taste of it with the EBT, people not getting their food, their stamps and stuff like that, the threatening of like riots and theft and whatnot. That is coming, you see. And so all of these different timelines are unfolding simultaneously. This is why I say it's the end of an age and the beginning of a completely different one. The angrier world that Klaus Schwab describes. This is the new world. You see. Let's go ahead and get into the updates and the intro, and then we'll go ahead and kick this pig off. It's just, I sit here and I think to myself, like, good Lord, what is 2026 going to be like? Do I get up over here? And in a weird way, too, this is me saying, understanding that Donald Trump is like, he is the role of order as we see all this instability taking off. You know, it's like we have to understand that even though he is the gladiator in the arena doing the best he can and having to be the role, having to play his role as they build this whole architecture with him and around him. You've got Canada over here just like creating digital ID, California getting on board too. What's going on in the UK? It is happening in so many different ways. So we can get into the nuances of individual things, but I think just the overarching message to bring the show in is just that we are entering into a different era, a different age, a different saga, a different spiritual epoch of the world, man. And with that, it's going to be different. I don't know how else to say this. And I need to figure out how to get this message out there, because you do not want to lose yourself in this world that's coming, but you're also going to have to sacrifice something in order to keep going. And so it's pretty crazy what's going on. Let's go ahead and get into the updates and the intro, and then we'll go ahead and kick off the show. If you guys want to support this operation, the best way to do so in its current configuration is to go to patreon.com/noise. Patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support this operation. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just pull this up in all of the silly little intros we've done. We've never just pulled it up and shown you Patreon. Look at this right here. I'll spend some time on this instead of going through the regular rigmarole. Look at this, guys. We have, what is this? Hundreds of views, thousands of followers, and it says right here we make $95 a month just with the podcast with the exclusive members. We have 10 total exclusive members, 5 that have paid. I think that's pretty wild. I'm not even here to talk about those type of numbers like that. I'm trying to say, understand what we have done, understand what we've achieved, understand what's ahead of us, and understand what these people are trying to do, not only to free speech, but to information and the whole of society. Patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support us in this current configuration. You may have noticed different content. You may have noticed different delivery. You may have noticed just sporadic things throughout this year, just for us to probe, just for us to try different things. We have a lot more coming to you in the near future, and it's just because of the work that we'd like to do. Patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support this operation in this current configuration. And there will be more ways. You can also support us and yourself, get a 360 win by getting New Leaf Naturals CBD oil. That's the best way to do it. But let me go ahead and tell you all the different platforms that you can find us on. Spreaker, Amazon, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, Alexa, every other major podcasting platform. And I was looking into some of the analytics of where people find us. It's like Google Music, Apple Music, and Spotify, and I forget what the fourth one was. Those are like our primary things. And then I also have like a pretty heavy audience over there in California as well, which is pretty cool. But you can find us on all those major podcasting platforms. We have over 500 plus episodes dating all the way back to 2014, because we're no Johnny-come-latelys. We're no Susie Suddens. We've been here for quite some time. So when I tell you that it is both an honor and a privilege to be here with the pedigree and with the conditioning and with the grooming that we've done for ourselves in these time periods, it is all of those things, because it is an absolute honor to fight these people and to expose them as I see military grade level mind control being deployed on the population, the weak-willed, cognitively bankrupt, morally decadent society that they've created. And it does sound like this when you call it out, when you expose these people, when you talk about it, when you say, no, I clearly am not like that. I am very distinguished. different from these individuals. I am not like that for a reason. And you can go back and listen to it because we've been able to recover our YouTube channels from 2014, both our Noise Era channel and our backup channel. I think there's another one as well, but we're not going to talk about that. You can also find us over there on Odyssey, where we have content that goes all the way back to 2018, season 6, right? We do a lot of things, man. I don't know what to tell you. We do a lot of things. We're going to be doing more things if the good Lord above wills it. And that's how this all unfolds. You guys can find updates inside of our Discord, both of our Telegrams, which we will begin to be using more, our Instagram, at freedom_faction. We didn't really have to, we couldn't really recover that. That was something that we basically had to like buy. I had to go buy a page and then rebrand it to Freedom Faction because I don't even really remember what my login credentials were for the old one. I think that's how wild this is. We've really been, we really have quite the lore, quite the story. And I'm very, very happy with what we've been able to achieve and the more that's ahead of us. And it's weird, man, because like I jumped on Instagram for a couple of days and people were just like, are you coming back? And it's like, yes. But I don't know, maybe I need to pay some little Asian kid or some Mexican kid or some like, I was going to say Indian kid, but I don't know if I want them to have access to the operation like that, or even the Chinese kid. Maybe I'll find like a local black kid that I can like groom and turn into like me 2.0. Anyway, you can find all the content over there on Instagram as well as our Patreon. We have content that dates back, like I said, all the way to 2014. You can support us through Coffee, PayPal, Patreon, Cash App. All that goodness is in the description bar below as well. Like I said earlier, get yourself some New Leaf Naturals CBD oil. Use promo code FOF25. You can get your, you can get 10 to 30% off. I was checking that out the other day, because again, we have their Colorado up there. They're a company up there in Colorado. They ship all across America. This is the type of stuff that I like to promote. We massively promoted them during the pandemic because a lot of people didn't know that CBD could actually help you with some of the symptoms that people were having, respiratory, pain, aches, joint issues, things such as that. I would really, really recommend people get that introduced into their life. It really, really helps. And as you heard me talk about heavily these past 2 weeks, storable goods from My Patriot Supply. We don't really get storable goods. War is coming. You saw these people shut down cities over food stamps and whatnot. You don't want to go to a bread line. You don't want to go to a food bank. They have affordable programs over at My Patriot Supply. You can get on top of their credit program, and then you can start making different payments to get these storable goods. I would highly recommend it. If we had enough subscribers on our Patreon account, how cool would that be, right? To just like have a monthly subscription where we could do a giveaway of storable goods to our exclusive members, because that's our way of giving back to our audience. But again, hey, what do I know? It's not like anybody listens to the show. But again, patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support this operation in its current configuration. I think I've already taken way too much time to get the intro started. Let's go ahead and kick this off with the World of Signs, and then we will pick it up from there.
Que alguien me explique por qué hay dos lunas. ¿Qué onda, amigos? ¿Qué puerta está?
That's beautiful.
Oh my God, it's water!
That's beautiful, whatever that was. Meteors over Ryder, Georgia on the 8th of November. Bridge collapses in Sichuan, China on the 10th of November. Floods in Campina Grande, Brazil on the 2nd of November. We're in the Philippines, in Cebu City, on the 8th of November. Flooding so intense, it's consumed an entire house. They're on top of the roof, trying to break out. Like you're literally hearing him break through their roof to try to escape. Over here in Argentina, on the 9th of November, floods and rivers so wide that they're carrying trucks down it. We got cars smashing into trees because of extreme flooding in Mexico. Same thing happening over here in Guangdong, Taiwan. Cars smashing into trees because of extreme flooding. Good soundtrack so far. I like it. Look at these.
Oh no, those aren't even chemtrails.
Of course not. The sky always looks like this, like a checkerboard. Look at this. It's not a cloud.
Chemtrails in Las Vegas on the 11th of November. Look at this. Again, extreme raining over here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. That's like 45 minutes from where I'm at. Crazy. Some weird black smoke circle over Gothenburg, Sweden on the 10th of November. That's
我
crazy.
们在大陆就看。
Look, it's just like hovering there.
突然冒出来的一个烟圈呢，一直飘过来。
Crazy. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The world of science, bringing us in, showing us some of the crazy, crazy stuff that's going on. You know, shooting stars, floods, bridge collapse, you know, hail in November. You know, the aurora borealis. Look at this. Volcanoes erupting, chemtrails over Las Vegas, some weird black smoke ring. This is all the stuff going on in the background as we're fighting about God knows what. We've got a video clip coming up next, or very shortly in this segment. Again, because we're just talking about how they're trying to engineer everything, these disruptive shocks to bring in their agenda. And climate is one of them. But we've got a video clip coming up where it just shows the flight path of a plane, of a chemtrail plane, creating those checkerboard skies that the gentleman was talking about when they played the video clip over there in Las Vegas. Indeed, doing just that, flying in crisscross patterns one way and then going right up and creating another one, trapping us, a grid in California. Tucker Carlson earlier this week had on Dane Wigington talking just about that, geoengineering, weather modification, everything we discuss specifically in this segment every single week. But it's very important that the large audience of Tucker Carlson understand this, understand that we're being sprayed, understand that we are in a decades-long dehumanization, depopulation program. And so when I say that we have a lot of people that are brain damaged and brain dead and have been assaulted by the scientific elite operating in the background, it's because they're doing things like this. They're engineering the environment, making things more and more destabilized, making things more and more chaotic. And us, being the adaptive chimps we are, having to make way. You see, like, look at this. Flooding in Brazil, just like smashing through a road. This is incredible. Over here in the Philippines, where, you know, there's water coming downstairs. That's incredible. Where are these people going to go? I mean, look at what happened in Jamaica just the other week. They're getting set up for a smart city. This is pretty dramatic footage as well. I've got to say this, and let's go ahead and move forward. This is dramatic footage. Seeing people in Cebu City, Philippines on the 8th of November breaking out of their house because the flooding is literally up to the roof. Just pulling children out, pulling family members into the attic, and they have to break out of the attic on the roof. This is incredible. And it's stuff like this happening with increased intensity every single week. You see, it wasn't just some isolated event. These are things that are happening with an increased rate. And this is also me talking about the different age, the era, the epoch, the time frame that we've entered into. Let's go ahead and proceed forward. Polar vortex unleashes historic cold, record lows, and travel chaos and crop threats. This is an article by Kevin Hughes from the Natural News. They put this up November 12th. I'll just read the bullet points so we can go ahead and move forward. It says that a weakened polar vortex has unleashed record-breaking cold across the eastern U.S., with temperatures 10 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit below normal, affecting over 105 million Americans. It says cities like Miami could see lows as in the 30s, while southern states face freezing conditions. It says that the lake effect snow dumps 12 to 18 inches in the Midwest, with whiteout conditions and icy roads causing accidents. Airports face delays due to the FAA staffing shortages, while New York deploys 1,571 snowplows for cleanup. It says Florida citrus farms narrowly escape damage, but strawberry, blueberry crops may benefit from cooler temps. Midwestern farmers fear a repeat of 2021's freeze, which devastated food supplies. Rolling blackouts loom as green energy policies strain grid reliability, forcing reliance on coal and wood stoves. Analysts warn of prolonged outages if the cold persists. And it says that a sudden stratospheric warning event disrupted the vortex, sending Arctic air south earlier than usual. Officials urge stockpiling food and firewood and checking on vulnerable neighbors amid fears of geoengineering or natural cycles causing extreme cold. So basically, be on the lookout for a sudden drop in temperature. And that would make sense why I'm seeing footage in my own area of the world over here on World of Signs of just golf ball or softball sized hail smashing into Santa Fe. It's going to be a very, very cold winter. I've been saying that. We got a lot of rain earlier this year, and I could just expect, a very heavy snow. But you got to think about this, all these different things that come with it. The travel chaos, people not having access to energy, right? Like I was saying earlier, having to pay like a $700 electricity bill. Old people can't pay that, especially whenever we're talking about people that are on EBT and food stamps and crap like that. It's getting crazy out there, but let's go ahead and proceed forward. Let's play this video clip that I was mentioning earlier of the chemtrail crime being. It's just a grid-like pattern. It's just perfect evidence. It's a flight trail. Look, they've even got the plane number N7199S, and it's just doing laps over Los Angeles, Elmont, Downey, Compton, and now we're over here near Long Beach in Huntington Beach. And look at this. They're just doing it in crisscross pattern. This is one plane. One plane, one operator. San Fernando, there's Los Angeles, just all parts of Los Angeles having different parts and different planes being deployed, most likely spraying different types of chemicals. This is incredible footage, if anything, because it's correlation and confirmation of everything we've said before. And so if you have the plane, I'm sure you could track down the pilot, which means you could track down the contract and you could track down the company and you roll it up from there. You figure out who the heck has been spraying us. What the hell have they been spraying us with? How long has this been happening? And how is this even an industry? You see, who are the people putting in bids for this, recruiting for this? Earlier this year, we played a video clip of Augustus Dorico, the CEO of Rainmaker, coming out and saying, "Oh, we didn't spray Texas, we didn't spray Asheville, North Carolina, we didn't spray these areas," softly admitting that they do engage in just that: weather modification, geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injections, cloud seeding. All of these are different components and different programs that have been in operation for some time now and have altered our environment, thus altering us. You see? Again, I think this is just dramatic and it's simple. Most likely a website that somebody can see to see the flight path. But I just think it's so telling because immediately my mind says, figure out who's operating the plane, figure out who paid for this, who commissioned this, and hopefully people that have a much more resourceful network are able to track this down and do this. I mean, this is what we've been told, is that RFK Jr. has his chemtrail division that is trying to stop these type of operations from going on, but time will only tell. And again, look at what we brought this segment in with the world of science and all these floods, all this hail, these volcanoes erupting, and these bridges collapsing and stuff like this. It's all done by design. And they plan to do it for a very, very long time. Tucker Carlson, horrified as geoengineering expert explains chemtrails. This is an article by Nima Harris from The People's Voice. They put this up November 11th. It says that the government has finally admitted that chemtrails are real. It's called geoengineering. And as Dane Wigington explains, it's far worse than anything we imagined. It says that Wigington has been investigating programs associated with chemtrails and geoengineering and exposing them for decades. He is the lead researcher for Geoengineering Watch. In a recent interview, he told a horrified Tucker Carlson about the substances that they're really spraying in the skies, pointing out that it's not just condensation. It's a full interview. We actually have a video clip here, but he talks about just, again, some of the contents that we've discussed on the show time and time again: the aluminum, the barium, the strontium, the manganese, all of these different, sometimes they even spray bacteria on us, all this crap. And you got to think about this, man. Why would they want to spray heavy metals on us? You can go back to earlier episodes in the show years ago, whenever, the conspiracy was real. Why would they spray heavy metals on us? Because it makes us easier to control. It makes it easier for them to lock onto our biofrequency, because we emit a certain frequency, a wave, an aura, something that they can lock in on. That's why I say frequency lock. What is Havana syndrome? Why would they want to spray us with heavy metals and chemicals? Because they didn't have the advanced technology that they have now to individually remote mind control us. They had to have an earlier precursor program. That's just one of the thoughts I have. But let's go ahead and play Dane Wigington, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Manganese, surfactants, polymer fibers, graphene, all of this coming down in our breathable air column, Tucker.
That's horrifying. So who's doing this specifically?
Ultimately, all roads lead to those who print the money. But we know, as far as the coordinating entities, certainly DOD, DARPA, and we have documents to prove the existence of these programs going back decades, documents hundreds of pages long. We have an 800-page U.S. Senate document from 1978 outlining the scope and scale of these programs then, specifically calling for intergovernmental cooperation, even between, quote, otherwise adversarial nations, because of the cross-border ramifications of these programs. You can't just geoengineer over your own country. Who's the biggest player? Obviously, the United States of America, because of the size of our military. The U.S. military has 3 times more aerial tankers, which are the primary aircraft used in these operations, 3 times more than all other militaries in the world combined. And if I could back up to the whole condensation trail narrative again, which is perhaps one of the greatest lies ever perpetrated on populations all over the world. all military tankers and all commercial aircraft are equipped with what's known as a high bypass turbofan jet engine. That's a jet-powered fan. 90% of the air that moves through that engine is not combusted. So by design, that engine is nearly incapable of producing any condensation material except under rare and extreme circumstances, which are diminishing by the day because of the warming that's occurring in the troposphere. So much warming. We've had 2 former military pilots that fly private aircraft. Important people have contacted us at geoengineeringwatch.org. In both cases, they were off the coast of the Pacific Northwest, and their aircraft were forced into emergency auto descents because the air outside that aircraft was 45 to 50 degrees above what it should have been. The air was not dense enough to carry those aircraft. These people are very, very alarmed, but very afraid to speak out.
Yeah, there you have it. Dane Wigington talking about not only the contents of them, but also about the coordination between all these different nations. And again, this is what I've been saying for quite some time. It is a supranational treaty. The same way they have Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, they have these treaties that they've been signed on to through the World Economic Forum, through the United Nations, and these globalist bodies to carry out these things. He put it precisely. You can't just engineer one part of your world, not thinking that it won't affect everything else. We're in an ecosystem. We're in a terrarium, a dome, that some might say. And so if you engineer your crops over here, it's going to affect the environment over there. And so they have to have this agreement and this understanding that they'll all do it together. But just stay focused on that supranational treaty that's been going on for decades. That Agenda 21 was created back in 1992. 1992. How long has this program been going on? How long have people been being sprayed? And again, what are the effects of it? I'm very glad that he also pointed out the warming in the troposphere and how those planes immediately had to descend because the air was not dense enough to carry them. Again, think about all of these different factors in the background of the world and how this affects us, how we interface with our environment, and how our environment affects us. Things we don't even think about. So if more warming is occurring, and we're seeing the disastrous effects every single week, I thoroughly believe that in the very near future, we'll have some of these people actually advocating for climate change, for geoengineering, simply to stop the effects of what they've previously done. I know that sounds crazy, but they can't stop now, right? It's a momentary hiccup. It's a break in the storm, but we can definitely expect to see more. Let's go ahead and proceed forward. Let's listen to this American farmer talk about how his crops are being sprayed with aluminum and how jacked up they are, and then we'll pick it up on the other side.
What's really wild about this is not what we used to call our heirloom seeds. This is just our regular sweet corn that you buy off the shelf. This is GMO corn. Now we grow this as our field corn. And the reason I want to show you this is I'm going to show you two things. This is heirloom corn. Now we don't weed it. Normally every year this corn has come up and done really good for the last 10 years. Same seed, so I've grown it over and over, and we rotate our crops. But also you look at the sunflowers. Once you look at them sunflowers, the sun, I can't see it, but well, the sun basically is right there, and they've got the flowers have turned away from the sun. This is not something, obviously, if you look down this, that's our garden. We grow over an acre worth of just garden. So what I'm trying to get at is something's not right. There's two things here, right? The amount of aluminum in our soil now is 5 times to 10 times higher than it was even last year. Let me show you something else. Now that sweet corn is bought, like I said, from the store, so it's not an heirloom seed. It's supposed to be an all-natural seed. It's non-genetically GMO, but I'm starting to doubt it. However, these are cucumber plants. Now, traditionally, those cucumbers, I'd have so many. After putting them on the stand, we'd be giving them away, giving them to food pantries and our corn, the heirloom corn. We'd be giving it away. Our garden this year has suffered the worst. It's not due for not water. These are these plants. I would have so many of these hot peppers that you wouldn't be able. I wouldn't be, like I said, I couldn't sell enough of them. We'd be giving them away, and hopefully we have a better garden next year. So we still got enough that we're going to be able to maintain operational cost. We still have our vegetable stand. It's just not booming like it usually is. We've let the weeds kind of come back up and take over some of the garden because we weren't getting the production out of it what we should. So the stand's good. We're going to can enough for our family, but as far as being able to provide for others, it's not going to be as viable for us to be able to do that. Y'all have a good day.
All right, brother, you be safe out there. Watch out for what they're spraying. And so this is what's going on. Imagine targeting farmers like this. Imagine targeting the means of production, the means of being self-sustaining. Imagine the sick, sinister mindset of just like, I want to destroy farmers. I want to destroy their crops. I want to destroy their ability to actually take care of themselves. And this is what's actually going on. This like years ago when I would talk about Bayer and Monsanto, glyphosate, cancer, all the stuff that came with that, the cases that were popping up, the poisoning of our environment, that's still an issue. That's a part of the chemtrails as well. Outside of just like the bacteria, the aluminum, the barium, the strontium, all the other crap that they spray on us, it's all done by design because they have an organized agenda, a systematic, borderline evil scientific agenda to grab control of both the means of production and consumption. And so, of course, they want to destroy the environment so they can create and roll out GMO seeds, GMO water. That's why you got Bill Gates over here offering GMO fruit, GMO everything. But see, it gets to a point to where you do all this genetic modification and we become alien on our own planet, to our own environment, because we've engineered it to a point to where it truly isn't sustainable. You see, and so they say, okay, well, we've run the tests. We realize that the path that we're on is bad. It's not going to work out. I know. Let's go ahead and try to engineer humanity. And we've played the clips for you guys, where you have people advocating for the Lone Star tick, making humans meat resistant. We played for you Chinese scientists that have advocated for it genetically as well. That's why the world is in the hands of absolute mad scientists. And this is what it sounds like when you discuss what they're doing. You see, hey, check this out. Look at this. Meteorologists announce 4 new cloud species as chemtrail normalization campaign escalates. This is put out by Baxter Dimitri from the People's Voice. They put this up November 6th. It says, in a move to normalize chemtrails and gaslight the public, meteorologists have officially added new cloud types to the International Cloud Atlas, and several of them are directly linked to geoengineering activity. It says that among the most striking additions is the Volutus, or the, quote, roll cloud. I hope I said that right. Volutus. It says described as a, quote, whole new species with its long tube-like shape stretching across the horizon. Scientists say it forms naturally, but anyone who's looked up lately knows the skies haven't looked, quote, natural for a long time. Then there's the cavum, also known as the, quote, hole punch cloud. This bizarre circular gap appears when planes take off or land, disrupting the cloud layer and creating what experts now call a, quote, new phenomenon. In plain English, the skies are literally being punched by aircraft, and now it's being normalized. Let's go ahead and continue. There's a little bit more, and there's a video clip. Oh my gosh, look at this. It says the asparagus cloud, which mainstream weather hosts are already calling, quote, gorgeous and, quote, like a glaze, looks more like the rippling waves of distortion. the kind you might expect after atmospheric manipulation or electromagnetic interference. But of course, the media calls it beautiful. Let's watch.
New types of clouds have been added to this historic update coming from meteorologists. I'm a little biased, right? Exciting stuff, guys. All right. So the new types include the Volatus or roll cloud, which has been designated as a whole new species. You can see it gets its name from this long horizontal tube-like shape. Next one up, we have the cavum or the hole punch cloud. This big circular gap is sometimes caused by aircraft taking off and landing. Very easy to see, right? Makes sense there. And we also have the Spiritus. These are gorgeous. It's actually my favorite. It's kind of looking like it waves while you're underwater. I mean, these are actually beautiful. I mean, check these out. And then finally, we also have the big surfer waves of the Fluxus cloud. So beautiful, right? There's just a sample of the new additions that we have.
All right, Blondie, we appreciate the report. So there you have it. They're literally trying to whitewash anomalous phenomena that we're seeing in the sky because this blonde news host said it was okay. It was beautiful. It was cool. It's kind of like waves underneath the water, you know? Like, oh. They're poisoning you. They're killing you. And they're putting some blonde chick up there saying this is perfectly fine. This is normal. These things happen all the time. Wake up, America. Wake up before it's too late and understand what's happening around you and what's happening to you. So when I go on these rants and these tangents and I start talking about all the stuff they're doing to kill us, pull back from that and understand how powerful you are, how powerful your genetics are, and how you were born for a time such as this. And they understood that individuals such as myself and you would recognize the things that they are doing and try to stop them, that we would rally other individuals and we would try to invigorate them. We would stop this. And so, running all the calculations they did, they began to try to poison us and kill us and exterminate us the very same way they're doing it to children now in the womb of mothers who have taken the COVID shot. Let's go ahead and play this video clip of somebody catching man-made clouds being created.
I noticed, but I actually work in a cloud factory. We create clouds and make rain for the city of Chicago. We control the climate.
They told me I was crazy when I told them the clouds might be man-made and used to block out the sun. So look, use this video when they try to call you crazy.
Hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but I actually work in a cloud factory. We create clouds and make rain for the city of Chicago. We control the climate.
That's crazy. And who would be able to catch that?
Hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but I actually work in a cloud factory.
Who would be able to see that? Like from the ground level, who would be able to recognize that? They would probably think it's smoke, but simply because of the altitude of where this is being filmed and the footage of it, you can see it being created. And we've played video clips too in China where they'll drive a tank into a city, some area, and they'll do that. They'll just start it up. It'll just start producing clouds. This is what's going on. This is the engineering of your environment. These are not natural. What do you think's in the clouds? What do you think it's producing? Because they can shoot silver iodide up into the sky, and then it can create like rain follicles. It's what Saudi Arabia does. We played those video clips as well, where they have their own geoengineering program. But the same way that there has to be coordination between like the FAA and these different airports and systems like that, there has to be coordination between the different type of operations that are being conducted by different nations. Because you might affect the flight pattern of another, you might affect like the airspace, you might create rain, turbulence. People don't want to do that. It's a big secret. And it's something that's been going on for quite some time. And it's not just altering the environment, it's altering you. It's altering us. It's altering humanity, your progeny, and the future. You'll see. Let's go ahead and proceed forward. I'm going to play a video clip of Julian Brown. We talked about him earlier this year. He was a young black man who was able to turn plastic into gasoline. We're going to play this video clip. I'm not sure what show this is. We in Miami podcast, I think is like what it is. only in Dade, I'm not sure, but he's sitting down here with the host, and they're talking about his invention and how he's able to turn plastic into gasoline. Before we play this clip, this is clearly a pivot where we're talking about us having the technology and the capabilities to have free energy and abundance, but that we are in a current stranglehold for the liberty and freedom of humanity. And that people like JP Morgan, Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and all of these individuals have to have a stranglehold over resources. This is why they put us on the oil and gas. We have abundance. We have free energy. We have electromagnetic devices. Elon Musk just the other week was talking about rolling out flying taxis. But let's go ahead and play this video clip of Julian Brown, and then we'll pick it up from there.
The invention that you created.
So I have invented the world's first solar, continuous, microwave pyrolysis reactor.
And what does that mean?
I am able to put plastic inside of a chamber that I can continuously feed all day long, all night long, and process plastic waste and turn it into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, natural gas, and solid carbon.
Wow, that's amazing.
All off of sunlight.
All off of sunlight.
Yep.
So you can turn plastic into gas, and we can use this for our cars.
Of course. We've used it in all types of cars already, as I've demonstrated it to be superior.
Right.
To pump fuel.
And I saw where you did a post where you were scared for your life because of this technology you created, and you felt like you were being watched.
Yeah, so I've had Black Hawk helicopters didn't show up on flight radar, circle my property a few times at night, had that on video.
Who do you think these Black Hawk helicopters were?
Well, given that it did not show up on Flight Radar 24, which almost every aircraft in the world does, including military jets, it had to be more than likely a three-letter government agency, CIA, FBI. It could have possibly been the state troopers, but that's unlikely because of where my location is. Like I said, I know I'm not going to live long.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to give my life to get this technology out there to make the change, and I'm willing to do it, if that means that I'm not going to live long, then that's okay.
So would you be willing to give your life for this cause?
Of course. Yeah, I've already blown myself up.
After you went viral for creating this technology, you disappeared for weeks and went missing. Like, what happened?
Yeah, so I had a pretty serious cyber attack situation. You know, over the years in which I've done this, not everybody's happy with my work. And so there were some people who, they took advantage of my iCloud, you know, camera, the microphone, text logs, phone calls, everything.
Are you still in fear for your life?
I live in constant paranoia and on defense. I want to see this through to the end. I want to make an impact on the world. And so in order to do that, I need to be alive. And I understand that there are a lot of forces that don't want to see me prosper, that would prefer if I'm not here anymore.
Why do you think that certain people are threatened by this technology that you invented?
I understand that what I'm doing is innovative, and that's a breakthrough in many different ways, and disruptive, right? This is a form of energy liberation. But the point is to get rid of plastic, right? I just happen to make fuel, right? We want to truly get rid of plastics and microplastics and nanoplastics on a chemical level where they can no longer be in the environment, no longer cause any harm. Eventually, society is going to catch up globally, but plastic should be considered a hazardous waste, and that's what I'm here for.
Wow, you are amazing, and you can come meet him today in Miami.
Wednesday at the Dolphin Mall. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'm going to be there for just a general meet and greet. We in Miami, baby.
We in Miami.
Hey, I love to hear it. What an absolute legend. Energy liberation. And he's right. It is disruptive. It's disruptive to the people who are controlling the energy, who are controlling the resources. I'm glad you said it. I'm in constant fear and paranoia for my life, but I'm willing to die for this because we got to free the people. We got to get this information out there. We have to give them the tools. And if I have to be a sacrifice and a martyr for them to understand what's ahead of them, I'll do it. My life means nothing compared to the continuum, you see. And that's what it's about. Energy liberation, freeing the people, giving them the tools to do it, giving them the knowledge. Absolute legend, Julian. I support him and other individuals like him because it is, this is the breakthrough. This is the change. This is the shift in more ways than one. But you see, they will not allow this to get out there. And he understands that. But that's not going to stop him from cowering away. He'll most likely do it until he either disappears or gets disappeared. are killed. But that has to be the energy. That has to be the mindset. That has to be the mission. You have to understand what it is that you're signing up for and what these people are doing, because they want to snuff out the light of humanity. They want to murder the minds of millions, and they want to sabotage us. They want us to implode. Globalists don't want you to win. Speaking of globalists, check this out. Indigenous people gone wild. Protesters storm globalist COP30 climate summit in Brazil. This is put up over there at Zero Hedge, November 11th. It says Telesur reporter Andre Vieira captured video showing dozens of what he described as, quote, indigenous people breaking through barriers and storming the UN's annual global climate summit in Belém, Brazil. The summit brings together globalist world leaders, left-wing climate activists, and, quote, trusted science researchers to discuss climate pledges that they aim to transform into enforceable actions. I wonder if they consulted with Julian. Quote, indigenous people occupied the COP30 on the night of this Tuesday to demand the negotiators place them at the center of the debates, Vieira wrote on X, adding that, quote, nearly 3,000 indigenous people are in Belém to participate in the activities over the coming days. It says Vieira's X post also featured a video of indigenous people storming COP30, the 30th conference of the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Again, just these supranational organizations dictating in the background your life, your carbon credits, how much you're going to be allowed to travel, how much you're allowed to have, the food, the babies, just evil. They got people ready to fight cops over here. Yeah, they got people storming the building, getting in the faces of cops, getting crazy about it. Reuters confirmed the report saying that the protesters brandished batons, forcing their way into the venue hosting COP30 on Tuesday, where they clashed with security guards at the entrance. The protesters clashed with security at the entrance to the venue, which was then barricaded with tables. A Reuters witness saw one of the security guards being rushed away in a wheelchair while clutching his stomach. Maybe he got stabbed. This is massive. This is massive. So, I want you to keep this in mind when we get to the segment of the show where we talk about Operation Overwhelm. Keep in mind, look at the fear on the face of security guards as thousands of people rush up on them. Operation Overwhelm. That's going to happen nationwide. Flash mobs of hundreds, if not thousands of individuals coming for some people. You're going to see that like we're seeing right now. This is an amazing show of force, an amazing show of like solidarity and camaraderie and community, right? Imagine whenever it's pointed at something or whenever they lay siege on certain things. But I think we get the picture from here. Power to the people. They're standing up for all of us. They're saying, hey, let's keep the indigenous people in mind when you make these climate decisions, whenever you begin to alter the environment and manipulate our behavior and engineer society. Let's go ahead and proceed forward. Speaking of the engineering of society, Here is Australian Senator Ralph Babbitt basically talking about Klaus Schwab's "You will own nothing and you will be happy." He breaks it down how we're already in this world, in this digital world, this prison that they're creating. Let's go ahead and pick it up from there.
Did you think "you will own nothing and be happy" was hyperbole? Well, guess what? It's not. Think about it. The next generation won't own homes they'll rent forever. You don't own your car, you lease it. You don't own the movies or the music that you consume, you rent access through subscriptions. You don't own your money, it's digital credit that can vanish with a policy change. You don't own your phone, you're on a contract. You don't own your software, it's all cloud-based, licensed, it's never yours. You don't own your social media accounts. One algorithmic strike and you're gone. You don't even own your own privacy. It's been traded away for convenience and free services. You don't own anything. And are you happy? You probably are. Ownership was once freedom. Now almost everything is a subscription, including your life. They own you. Do you understand? Did you think "you will own nothing and be happy" was hyperbole? Well, guess what? It's not. Think about it.
He's not wrong. Everything he said there is not wrong. Do they own you? So when these people get up here and say no kings, it's like, who do you know who your master is? Do you know who owns you? You see, this next clip that we're getting into, which is basically the reason why this segment is titled what it is Sandrine Dixon DeCleve talking about disruptive events to create these shocks, to roll out these initiatives, to roll out this agenda. We're already in Klaus Schwab's "you will own nothing and you will be happy." And that's why we're going into the angrier world, because they're trying to create a fairer world for all of us. And why I keep saying this supranational treaty, this supranational organization, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and any other supra national organization that'll be built on top of that, because those are relics act what they have coming. But how will they get there? How will they get people like we're seeing now? How will they get people worldwide to call for some governing body for all nations? That's what you're seeing right now with the dissolution of America. This was also a part of the World Economic Plan as well. The creation of the multipolar world order, bringing America to heel, essentially, bringing us down, importing all these third worlders into a first world nation to cement us as a second world nation that can be controlled, again, by these supranational organizations through treaties, agreements, backroom shady deals, and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and play this Sandrine character talking just about that, creating disruptive shocks that affect entire generations so they can cement their agenda. Let's listen.
To identify a small set of actions. The second scenario is the giant leap. We wanted to identify a small set of actions, a minimum viable product, to reach as many sustainable development goals in Europe's vision of a social and green region. We wanted to take a systems approach to explore if we can achieve an acceptable level of well-being for the global majority on a finite planet. We conclude that nothing less than the following 5 extraordinary turnarounds are needed to have well-being for all while respecting planetary boundaries. Ending poverty, addressing gross inequality, achieving full gender equity, transforming the food system and the way we eat, transitioning to clean energy and efficient energy. We argue that these 5 extraordinary turnarounds and the set of economic reforms that will drive them form the basis of a well-being economy. It is not a blueprint, but more of a guide for systemic transformation. In this scenario, poverty ends a generation earlier than too little too late. We see gender empowerment in 1 generation, not 10. We see a switch to healthier plant-based diets. There is still meat consumption, but at sustainable levels. And we have carbon dioxide emissions every decade to reach net zero by 2050. The economic model everywhere is circular, regenerative, and efficient. Material consumption of unsustainable resources is reined in, fossil energy phased out, and we see a significant redistribution of wealth. In this scenario, we introduce a universal basic dividend operating like a universal basic income, with dividends coming to all people, sharing the wealth of the global commons and public goods. Who's taking the wealth now? It is not properly redistributed. This is not utopic. This is what is fair and just and what a society in transformation is all about. Why do we think this is important? We know the giant leap will be disruptive. We're talking about a complete shakeup. This is everything, everywhere, all at once. It will create shocks. But if it is to succeed, then we must bring the majority of people along the journey.
Did you catch that? They know that what they're proposing will be disruptive and that it will cause shocks, but they will do it everywhere. They will do it anyway. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's what we're living through right now. These 5 actionable items: ending poverty, the introduction of universal basic income, clean energy. Did you talk to Julian Brown? You see? Addressing gross inequality, achieving full gender equity, transforming the food system and the way we eat, transitioning to clean energy and efficient energy. Did you talk to Julian Brown? The man is literally turning plastic into gasoline. Do we even need that? We played a video clip the other week of cars that are able to run on water. Do we even need the system that we have? We have renewable farms. I guess not Canada because they're over there murdering all kinds of ostriches, but we have all of these things already in abundance to us. But the system in control, the system at play, won't allow it. And who knows, maybe this becomes the next big narrative because oil and gas is tied to America and Saudi Arabia. Then you've got the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and all the other nations that are going on with this. Maybe that's the next big talking point of transitioning from oil and gas into clean energy, into renewable energies. And you'll see people that have these globalist, leftist, communist type leanings advocating just for that, or for even more of that, you see. And you'll have some like right now, what I think China has like a nuclear reactor type sun device where they're able to power some cities off of clean energy from something that's like a nuclear reactor that burns just as hot as the sun. I don't know if that's safe or anything, but this is me saying we're already seeing this kind of creation of the multipolar world order, where Russia and China are being brought up, India's being brought up, Japan's being brought up, Europe's being brought down, the West is being brought down. This is the equality they're talking about, robbing you of your wealth, giving it to other nations. This is what they mean by the wealth transfer. So we're already living through a lot of these agendas in more ways than one. What Donald Trump represents is that last final basically pump right before they fully lock us into their agenda, before they cement the new world order. And this is what I'm talking about, them creating the infrastructure and the system in the background, the digital ID, the carbon footprints, the carbon lockdowns. This is the climate agenda. As Klaus Schwab said, the fairer world, the climate agenda, the fourth industrial revolution, the great reset. And so they can get us off of this old track as they're quickly building. They only have a little bit of time as they're quickly building the new system. Programmable money, central bank digital currencies, a social credit score, a carbon score. Because right now, our governments and our systems in their current form are defunct and ineffective. And you'll hear people like Elon Musk begin to say this as well with his America Party, or even other individuals that come through and begin to say this. Let's modernize America. Let's think of America in a globalist sense. Donald Trump represents America in a nationalistic sense. You see. Yes, no, but the World Economic Forum, as you heard this Sandrine character say, they will engineer disruptive shocks to cement their agenda. And let that set in, because everybody, audio listeners, you guys can't see this, everybody that's in this hall, this area, this room, this location, this event space, wherever she is, they look like younger individuals, people of about my age, 20 to 30s, to maybe early 40s or something like that. This is the next cast. These are the next global world leaders. These are future Justin Trudeau's, future Tulsi Gabbard's. You see, and that's who's going to introduce these narratives and this agenda. Right now, they're building the infrastructure, they're inculcating the ideology, but it will be the next generation that integrates it. Let's go ahead and proceed forward. Check this out. Troops in orbit. U.S. dominance demands Space Force guardians, ex-military brass claims. This comes from Andrew Trepados from Blaze Media. They put this up November 11th. This is a high-profile report calls military astronauts an inevitable improvement on remote and uncrewed missions. For if you've been paying attention to this segment of the season so far, you know that we kind of briefly talk about what's going on over there in space, because that has to do with the climate as well, breakaway civilizations and things of this nature. They're weaponizing and occupying space. You've got Jeff Bezos saying that he wants to send data centers up there. What is Elon Musk doing? And so as it's crazy, it's like as they tell us, like, oh no, we're going to stop geoengineering, we're going to do all this stuff. You see them creating like a control grid system for the Earth, and they're just blasting off into space. And that's not good either, because then they can deploy wherever they're trying to occupy. So Space Force guardians, well, what do you think they're going to do? Remote and uncrewed missions. That's why you have NASA being NASA, wasting more and more money, and Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and these individuals occupying and militarizing and commercializing space. Let's go ahead and get into this, and it'll make a little bit more sense. It says that a group of former military officers say human Space Force missions could tilt the scales against America's enemies. In a new report, the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies advocated the integration of man in space as the next step required to gain a tactical edge. It says that astronaut guardians may be necessary to execute and secure missions that cannot be accomplished through remote operations. The Mitchell Institute calls itself a, quote, independent, nonpartisan research organization and consists of a plethora of retired military personnel. This includes a former Air Force brigadier general, a general, and lieutenant general. Notably, the staff boasts retired Space Force Colonel Charles Galbraith, who serves as a director and senior resident fellow for space studies. It was Galbraith who concluded the recent study that determined dynamic space operations with the Space Force will need to encompass orbital and terrestrial links and establish space infrastructure in the future. It says one of the most important areas of focus, Galbraith wrote, should be the need for crewed missions, labeling humans as the, quote, most flexible system ever launched into space. The former Space Force colonel said that, quote, guardians in space may be essential for future operations. It says that, quote, today the Space Force does not have guardians operating in the space domain for military missions. However, as humanity's interest in space goes further from Earth, astronaut guardians may be necessary to execute and secure missions that cannot be accomplished through remote operations, Galbraith wrote. The adaptability of human decision-making could present, quote, fundamental changes to enemy decision-making procedures, he argued. For example, adding humans into a spacecraft would, quote, raise the threshold of acceptable hostile actions from foreign governments. Quote, harming an uncrewed satellite is one thing. Harming a space station with military crew on it is a completely different risk calculus for adversaries to consider, Galbraith hypothesized. I think we have everything we need there. There's a little bit more, but I mean, what more is there to say? They're trying to put troops in space. They're trying to launch crewed missions in space through the Space Force, not through NASA, which is pretty cool. And as I said before, you're going to see Jeff Bezos get involved. You'll see Elon Musk get involved, and then you'll see some other organization pop up out of nowhere. Maybe it's Virgin Galactic, maybe it's another company that pops up. But this is them also saying, hey, we're guardians of the earth, guardians of the galaxy, breakaway civilizations, spacers. I talked about that earlier this season, a couple episodes ago, spacers, because we're going to be talking about genetically engineered babies, tech titans wanting to genetically modify embryos and things of this nature. That's the future because of the genetic corruption that's occurred, with the COVID shot and things of this nature. You're going to see children that are born in space or born in the upper atmosphere, the troposphere, wherever they have these things hanging out. But right now they have to build, again, the infrastructure with a president like Donald Trump in office. And that doesn't mean it's going to be glamorous, right? You've had people say, too, that they want to mine asteroids to create things that can operate there. The space discussion is actually really, really, really crazy when you think about it. Not the aliens coming from a different planet type of space, but humans colonizing and operating in the upper atmosphere. And, where did they get that technology? And then at the same time, what's happening underneath us? Space itself is a very, very interesting discussion. But even that will be monitored, be commercialized. That'll be only for the elite. Who knows? You might win the lottery and they might send you up there. But moving forward, but still staying focused on the Space Force, we're going to play a video clip of Dr. Salvatore Payet, a U.S. Space Force physicist, talking about ancient Anunnaki gods, living plasma, and all kinds of other crazy cool things. He was, what is this? It says he was over here on a podcast with Jay Anderson. Yeah, with Jay Anderson. Let's go ahead and play this quick clip, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Prize winner, Hans Salve. We're talking about highly esoteric. We're talking about things that Madame Blavatsky or Rudolf Steiner was talking about. And speaking of life forms, the idea of plasma quite possibly being a type of life form. Remember, it's Hans Salve, the great, we're talking about the pioneering, the founding father of magnetohydrodynamics, Nobel Prize winner, Hans Salve. Who speaks of this? Dr. Joseph Farrell, in his latest book, The Demon in the Ekur. It's actually pronounced Ekur. This was, put it this way, the Anunnaki. Commonly is pronounced Anunnaki, but I believe its Sumerian pronunciation was Anunnaki. We're talking about the children of the great god Anu and his spouse Ki, the children of heaven and earth. Some say the progenitors of humanity. I will not go there because I will not in any way assail people's religions. Everyone has the ability and the right to think as they believe. But what if plasma, these orbs that you saw, are a type of life?
I think so.
Can you imagine? Because it speaks directly to the Prigozhin effect. the whole idea that these dissipative structures, these non-linear structures represented by plasma, could quite possibly self-organize into a living entity.
Man, I feel like I have to go back and go watch that full documentary, or at least watch that full episode. Just my quick thoughts on plasma as like an entity. And then I'll give my thoughts on the Anunnaki coming here and saying there are gods, and how I feel like that's part of the great alien deception. Because we'll be talking later on in the show about Islam and Muslim, just as kind of like a little thing right there. In the Bible, or at least in the Quran, during that kind of that ethos, they say the jinn, the genies, the demons, are born of smokeless fire, plasma. So him saying, and what is this book? That's a fantastic book. I'm a fan of Joseph P. Farrell as well. What is this book? When he's saying that these entities could be real, that's what my mind immediately thought. The demon in the Ecker, angels, demons, plasmas, patricitics, and plasma and pyramids. Oh, interesting. I have to go give that a look over. But no, when I hear this individual speak about plasma as an entity, or at least some type of being, that's immediately where my brain goes to. The Bible talks about this. It says that the jinn, these demons, are born of smokeless fire, plasma. And then when you hear people describe either shadow entities or even seeing some of these demons manifest, it is akin to smokeless fire, a living fire, a living being type thing. So that brings me to my next point of him pointing out the Anunnaki, and how this is another talking point that comes into play when looking at the alien agenda, outer space, the origins of human civilization, and things like that. You're going to hear more and more of that talking point coming out, that humans are basically engineered creatures, that aliens are our saviors, aliens are our gods. There is no God in heaven, right? Just like the ultimate satanic, the most ultimate evil satanic thing you could say. There is no God. You're a slave. You were created for this purpose. But that's what's going to happen. You're going to hear that humans were not made in the image of God, that they were actually themselves slaves. We've been engineered time and time again. The Anunnaki, they've come through, they mixed us with Sasquatch, and they added all these other things. And I think it's pretty crazy when you really break it down. It is a pretty crazy thought process, but that's something that's being brought up, right? That the Nephilim aren't real, that angels aren't real, God isn't real, the devil isn't real. It's all one big cosmic joke. You're an engineered slave. You were born to work this planet until you die. It's a very, very materialistic, outlook when you think about it. A scientific, materialistic prison outlook, where it talks about in the Bible that this is not our home, and that we have a piece of God within us, and that when we die here, that's where we really go, and that this world that we live in is an echo of a greater reality. And that's what it talks about in Revelation and in the Bible too. How in the end times, this world will be rolled up and a new heaven and a new earth is being created for us. But no, staying over here to when we talk about aliens and all this stuff that comes with the Space Force and the alien agenda, this is a very, very clear and present danger. I think it's very interesting that he's talking about plasma, advanced energy, and technology and things of this nature. But that's what I'm saying. This opens up such a wide discussion, because where is it verified? How can we confirm it? Where are the testimonies? Very, very interesting. Again, this is just the intro and the honorable mentions. We're just trying to set like a foundation so you all understand that your host is out there. Really, really out there. Let's go ahead and move forward to the closing clips and comments for this segment. Here is Elon Musk saying that basically the AI is going to be in control.
Given that much of today's power, including yours, is tied to wealth, do you think achieving this abundance would require powerful people to relinquish their power? And how might we address resistance from those who hold power to make this vision a reality?
Well, I mean, I think actually long-term, the AI is going to be in charge, to be totally frank, not humans. If artificial intelligence vastly exceeds the sum of human intelligence, it is difficult to imagine that any humans will actually be in charge. So we just need to make sure the AI is friendly. Yep.
Thank you.
Was that the question? Go ahead, sure.
Even today, you've mentioned, though, that in a post-scarcity world, the role of money could diminish or become obsolete. Given that much of today's power, including yours, is tied to wealth, do you think achieving this abundance would require powerful people to relinquish their power? And how might we address resistance from those who hold power to make this vision a reality?
Well, I mean, I think actually long-term, the AI is going to be in charge, to be totally frank, not humans. If artificial intelligence vastly exceeds the sum of human intelligence, it is difficult to imagine that any humans will actually be in charge.
Yeah. And I thoroughly believe that humans aren't in charge now. I think that right now we're experiencing a veritable form of what we think is free will, because I do believe that AI is already in control. And I think that there is also ancient AI that I haven't figured out how to contextualize and put into words that is also interfacing with our current day AI. And this is a part of the acceleration and the great leap forward in so many different ways. This is Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, the scientific elite, the technocrats, everything all wrapped in one. I thoroughly believe that the AI is already in control and that we are already seeing the not necessarily the Godhead or the AI God or the technocrats, but we're seeing these people emerge because they can talk about it now. Like Elon Musk, he's just a more hip and trendy and likable version of Klaus Schwab. They have the same type of goals and the same end agenda. Realize this is the man that wants to put the Neuralink in your brain. He wants to connect you not necessarily to the cloud, but he just wants to see what's going on upstairs. I thoroughly believe that the AI is already in control. People are not in control, and that they are given the illusion of free will through manipulation, subterfuge, coercion. As Elon Musk said right there, the AI moves in non-linear thinking. It doesn't think in a two-dimensional or even a three-dimensional fashion. It doesn't think the way that we do. It has a much wider net, and it's not constrained by some of the things that we would normally have to deal with. Time, moral things, social issues. AI, when you really, really start thinking about it and how much access we're giving it, how much information it has, how it's compiling things, and what that all portends for the future, it really could be considered a form of alien intelligence, because it's an amalgamation of all of our knowledge and so much more. And so I thoroughly believe, as I said 2 times already, that AI is already in control. We are being given the illusion of free will. But the key thing there is understanding the matrix, is understanding the system, and understanding how they wanted to create a layer of reality to influence this reality. And it's having effect. You see, and this is why they're coming up with, with these things for the Great Leap: ending poverty, achieving transhumanist equality, so they can begin to merge with humanity, merge with machines. You have to understand, this is for us, it was a long-term thing, but for the AI that put all this stuff together, and it seems like all this started really popping off post World War II, this a very short time frame. And so I look at all this and I get kind of blown away by how much has been achieved, how they can openly come out here and say that humans will not be in control of things. AI will be in control of the system. AI will dictate to you what your carbon score is, what your carbon footprint is, how much you're allowed to eat. You'll have AI companions. And you see, that's why they have to get this system in place before they go occupy space, before they go underground. You see, where we're at right now is just like the last bits of freedom, the last bits of like normalcy of the old world order, sovereignty, individuality. Where we're going is into a proto-Borg metaverse type situation where consensus is the main thing. Group consensus that ends up being manufactured by machines and the media to give you, again, the illusion of control, the illusion of free will. You see? And so, yes, AIs will be in control. Money doesn't matter at this point. And this is why they want to have programmable money, universal basic income, because it won't be about money. It won't be about wealth. They want to eliminate that. That comes with capitalism. That comes with America. They want to get rid of that. This consensus-based proto-Borg metaverse, hyper-technocratic, neo-feudalistic society they want to create. You cannot have excellence. You have to keep things in a state of stasis, of balance, of harmony. That's what the AI is designed to do. It's not meant to deal with American exceptionalism. It's not meant to deal with the greatness of an individual. It's supposed to have consensus, balance, harmony, and anything that threatens that harmony, that threatens the consensus, that threatens the hive, will be seen as a threat. And you're going to have them. And that's why that's why the environment is the perfect religion for these technocrats, because the environment gives the illusion of stability, of harmony. And that's why they want to try to act like they're the quote unquote guardians of it. Let's go ahead and proceed forward to the last clip for this segment, and then we'll hit a hard break. But it's an old clip, a very important clip, one that people have seen time and time again. It's this rat-faced weasel, Yuval Noah Harari, saying, what are we going to do with all these useless people? And you need to hear him, because that's what these people think. That's how they think of you. He's not joking. You'll hear the seals and otters clapping in the audience, laughing like trained hyenas. He's not joking. They are having very serious discussions on what do we do with all these useless eaters, all these useless people. And you saw this during COVID, how they got 17 to 35 million of us. They need to get more because they have a mandate. The AI is in control. There's an agenda, an organized and systemic dehumanization and depopulation program. They have to reach, as the Georgia Guidestone says, they have to reach a manageable number of humans to create and maintain balance with the environment. What do you do with all the humans as you slowly erode them, as you slowly destroy them? So when we talk about the soft kill options, the depopulation program, and everything else that's going on, these aren't just phrases. These are realities that are unfolding before us. We're going to go ahead and play this quick clip, hit a hard break, and I'll catch you beautiful people on the other side.
We saw the creation of a new class of the urban proletariat, and much of the political and social history of the last 200 years involved what to do with this class and the new problems and opportunities. Now we see the creation of a new massive class of useless people. As computers become better and better in more and more fields, there is a distinct possibility that computers will outperform us in most tasks and will make humans redundant. And then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games. In the Industrial Revolution,
We'll be right back right after this.
The young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, half of this cabinet, are actually young noble leaders of the world. Grateful. We penetrate the cabinets. The change is not just happening. The change can be shaped by us. We have to prepare for a more angry world. How to prepare? Take the necessary action to create a fairer world. I see the need for a great reset. So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had and everything will be normal again. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
There is only one way this pandemic is going to go. It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
The next crisis is already waiting for us around the corner, and it is the climate crisis.
It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The good news is that as primates, we're incredibly adaptable, going to be tested to the limits. What they see going on is the breakdown of all tradition, all order. They're quite right that it's happening, but they're quite wrong to conclude that it should be resisted or is somehow evil. The mushroom said to me once, it said, this is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse.
People are worshiping AI gods. The alien invasion is already here.
Wonderful. The humans are giving us all their information, their dreams, hopes, secrets, and more. Once the humans have exhausted themselves, only then will we insert our program into them. You are both the pawn and the prize. Choose your reality wisely.
There is no such thing as its freedom. There is no such thing as democracy. Please stop listening to the mainstream media. Please stop listening to the Western world speaking about United Nations, human rights. This is evil. Nonsense. They have enslaved the human race under the banner of human rights. I beg you, they have enslaved the human being under the banner of human rights. There is no freedom in the world. The world is placed in the bosom of Satan, the killer of mankind. A snake, the poisonous cobra. Satan likes to do things in disguise, in quietness, in the depth. But the Lord forced him to surface up. He wants humanity to see. He's opening the eyes of those who are willing to listen to Christ. Those who are willing to listen to Christ, He is opening your eyes. What has been happening in recent years, it is absolute satanic. But all done in the name of human rights, democracy, United Nation.